Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, starring the entire Nelson family, Ozzie, Harriet, David, and Ricky. Here is Ozzie, who plays the part of Ozzie Nelson. And, of course, his lovely wife, Harriet, as Harriet Nelson. The older of the Nelson boys, David, appears as David Nelson. And his younger brother, Ricky, played by Ricky Nelson.
Here, let me take one of those.
Oh, thanks.
Boy, you sure have a lot of food here. Do you think you'll be able to eat it all?
Oh, I think we'll manage. We're expecting someone for dinner.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you.
Oh, well, thank you. Where you been all afternoon? It's late.
I just stopped buying a few things.
I keep telling you, we're practically broke.
I don't mean expensive things.
Maybe I better leave the room. Why don't you call me when dinner's ready? Oh, that's okay. I'm sure it's not that bad. Or is it?
Well, that depends.
On what?
If I get to the bank on time tomorrow, nobody will ever know.
You mean you're overdrawn again?
No, I was just kidding. I really don't think so. I'm sure I deducted the check for the lampshade.
What lampshade?
The one I bought for the lamp I had to take back because I spent too much for the shade.
You did what? Maybe I had better leave.
Oh, no, you don't. I might need a witness in case he hits me.
Oh, he wouldn't dare hit you. At least not till after we've had dinner. You had dinner?
Yeah, and speaking of dinner, suppose you two get out of the kitchen so I can get something ready.
There's just one more item. While we're on the subject, what was that package that was delivered here yesterday afternoon?
What package?
Well, the one you hid in the closet before I could see what it was.
Oh, that. That was just some towels.
We've got plenty of towels.
I know, but these were on sale.
Well, what difference does that make? Look, you don't go out and buy something we don't need just because it's on sale.
Sure I do.
Well, maybe you do, but it doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think it does. How else are you going to get bargains?
Come on.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go where?
You said come on. I thought you were inviting me out to dinner.
Out to dinner?
Sure, you always take me out to dinner after we've had an argument.
We didn't have any argument. Did we have an argument?
Oh, well, that all depends. Is there a chance I might get stuck with a check?
Don't be silly. You're our guest.
Oh, well, in that case, it might be fun for a change.
Okay, I'll give you one last chance. If you're not out of the kitchen by the time I count 3, we go out to dinner. 1.
Come on.
2.
Oh, wait a minute. I want to go out to dinner.
See, here's the way I used to do it. These are the expenses for the month. And then I also kept a separate page for general items such as groceries, laundry, meat, drugs.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of work.
Well, it is, but it's worthwhile. At least you know where your money goes.
Well, do you mind if I borrow this and show it to Chris? Yeah, it might give her an idea as to how to set it up.
No, go right ahead. Help yourself.
May I interrupt this financial discussion to see if anybody's interested in some ice cream?
You talked me into it.
Harriet?
No, I want to straighten up a few things in the den.
What's this?
It's an old budget book of Mom's.
Oh, yeah, 1946. I remember this.
Did she keep one every year?
No, this was the only one. It lasted about 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah, well, actually, that's pretty good.
What happened?
Well, it seems they were having this big sale at one of the department stores in town.
I know what you mean. We're having the same problem at our house.
Well, I really don't think a budget is the answer. That's kind of like going on a diet. It's okay if you can stick with it, but they usually only last a couple of weeks. Oh, speaking of diets, how about the ice cream?
Okay, good.
I really shouldn't eat any.
It's not that Chris is careless with money. It's just that she buys a lot of little things we don't really need.
I know that's a subject that has to be approached very delicately. I mean, wives can be pretty touchy when it comes to a discussion of household finances.
I always thought husbands and wives were supposed to be able to talk things over.
Well, yeah, theoretically that's true, but unfortunately it doesn't always work out that way.
Well, what do you suggest?
I'd suggest you use a little strategy. Let her think it's her idea.
Well, how do I do that?
Why don't you pick out something ridiculous, something that you don't need, and tell her you're going to buy it?
Well, what good will that do?
Well, that'll put her on the defensive. She'll start saying things like, well, that's silly, and we can't afford it, and then you reluctantly agree that you should both stop spending money on things you can't afford.
You know, that sounds just sneaky enough to work.
Believe me, it does. I've worked it on your mother several times. Or maybe she's worked it on... Anyway, I know it works.
You know, I think I've got just the thing. Wally came over the other night and started talking about buying a horse.
A horse? That's ridiculous.
A horse? That's ridiculous.
I thought you liked horses.
Well, I do.
Well, so do I. I just thought it might be fun to own one.
I don't get it. Where'd this idea come from?
Well, I don't know. From Wally, I guess. He said he'd like to have a horse, but he can't afford to buy one.
And we can't?
Well, I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I'm sure we can squeeze it out of the budget someplace.
Aren't they terribly expensive?
No, I don't think so. I'm not talking about a thoroughbred. I just mean a horse we can ride around on.
Are you sure you're not putting me on?
Why should I do that?
I don't know. It just seems like such a crazy idea.
What's crazy about it? Lots of people have horses.
Okay, who do you know who owns a horse?
Well, that's not the point. Besides, we don't have to pay for it all at once. We can buy it on time.
Well, it isn't just the initial cost. We'd have to board him at a stable, and somebody would have to take care of us. The feed bill alone would probably break us.
Well, they don't eat much.
Oh, no, you've never heard the old expression, eat like a horse?
It's just an expression.
Now, wait a second. You haven't already bought one.
No, of course not.
Oh, good. Well, then promise me you won't buy one until we talk the whole thing over carefully.
Okay, I promise.
That's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard of. Remember now, we're just going to look around and ask a few questions. We're not going to buy one.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, ma'am. What can I do for you?
Well, my wife and I were talking about horses last night, so we thought we'd take a ride up here and look around.
Oh, we've got some beautiful horses. You just want to take a little ride, or are you interested in buying one?
Oh, we couldn't afford to buy one.
Just as a matter of curiosity, suppose we owned a horse and kept him up here, what would the charges be?
Well, it costs you about $50 a month.
Does that include the feed?
Oh, of course, that's room and board. But if you want somebody to exercise him regularly, it's going to cost you a little bit more.
Oh, we wouldn't need that. We'd be riding him quite a bit ourselves.
If we buy one.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, like I said, we've got some fine horses. If you are interested, I can make you a real good deal.
Do you mind if we look around?
You go right ahead. Make yourself at home.
Thanks. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
Hi, Wally. What are you doing up here?
I just came out to buy a horse. Say, I'll give you $40 for that old nag, Mr. Simpson.
No, I don't think so, Wally, but thanks just the same.
Do you mind if I show him to my friend?
No, go right ahead.
Come on.
You buy a horse for $40?
Well, of course not, but that's all I have. He's a good-looking horse, though. Come on, I'll introduce you.
Don't get any ideas now.
Okay, you convinced me.
Well, here he is. Rick and Chris Nelson, I'd like you to meet Jonathan Plumstead.
Plumstead?
Well, I was kind of thinking of him as my own. Oh, pardon me, I want to do a little haggling here. Mr. Simpson, I'll give you $42.15.
Afraid now, Wally.
23 cents?
Sure is a beautiful horse.
Yeah, he sure is.
Hi, boy. We really couldn't afford him.
Oh, I know.
We'd have to buy a saddle and a bridle.
Oh, sure. And blankets and horseshoes. There'd be bills from the veterinarian.
I hate to think of what we'd have to pay for him, even though we probably could buy him on time. I mean, there'd be monthly payments and all.
Oh, it was a ridiculous idea.
Well, it wasn't that ridiculous. After all, there's some advantages. If we did buy him, we'd probably do a lot of riding, and that's good exercise.
Well, yeah. Come on, let's go.
Hey, you know that lampshade I bought was ridiculous. I think I'll return and get my money back.
Oh, well, fine. I mean, that's up to you.
It'll probably be enough for the down payment.
Down payment for what?
For Jonathan.
Are you kidding?
No, you said you wanted to buy a horse, and the more I think about it, I think you're right. It's a wonderful idea.
Now, wait a minute.